his theory, there's no way he thought we had to, there's no way we could have went to the moon under the flat Earth theory, because it's just a, I don't know, a picture on the ceiling.
I don't know. Have we gone to the moon? That's another thing. You got a lot of conspiracy experts out there that claim we never went to the moon. That was all filmed, in a studio.
Well, I can say this much.
Okay,
that is one thing I've studied a lot on. I could come up with a lot of stuff that would probably convince you that we didn't. And
hey, James,
I do know this.
James, I want you to call back on the other line. I'm going to take a phone call. So call back. Oh, never mind. They already hung up. Just stay on here unless they call back. I've already had about 10 phone calls while you were on, but, I would have had to disconnect you. And I didn't want to do that. But people are calling in. If you want to call back in now. I'll put you on the air. We'll talk about it. And if that happens, Jim, then you just, you can't even do that. I got the other computer shut down. So we're not going to take any calls tonight.
Oh, I was going to say, I can call back on the other line.
I just remembered I shut the computer down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's getting too hot in here. So, I got these 8 computers running, plus the servers going and everything else going. It's actually, right now, I'm looking at the temperature, it's 92 degrees.
Oh, wow. That is hot.
Well, it is in a little room. It gets stuffy.
Yeah, I bet. I gotta. I'll tell you one thing. Here's a little food for thought about the moon thing. They took 7 special cameras up there that they made 7 special cameras, but they took 4 up that were very special made. They cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, the guy that made those 7 cameras, the astronauts at NASA got 4 of them, and the other 3 went to Stan Kubiak, and this was in 1966, before they went to the moon.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I know. The moon debate can go on and on and on. Again, we get people on the show that, claim that there's moon bases on the backside of the moon. China released here a couple of weeks ago a whole bunch of photographs from their... Yeah. And it didn't show any, buildings on the backside of the moon. It just kind of looked like the other side of the moon.
Yeah, I will say this, a piece of advice. If you ever come across Buzz Aldrin, you don't want to mention nothing about any hoax on the moon. He will slug you.
Nah, I don't think he would do that at his age.
I seen him a few years ago slug that guy. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think we're going to ever go back to the moon?
Well, that's the thing. And there's the weird part, Gary. If you really look at it, I've seen an episode on Star Trek where they went and visited a civilization. They were highly advanced. They had lasers and all this high-tech stuff, but they were riding horseback. Well, here we are. We're using fossil fuels from dead plants and animals as a fuel source. And with our technology, at the turn of the century, we were riding horses and buggies. You fast forward 69 years, we go to the moon. You fast forward 50 more years, we haven't done nothing. So it's just weird. It doesn't make no sense. The dots aren't lining up.
Yeah, well, like I said, we went from the Wright brothers, to the space shuttles in a very short span. We went from, propeller-driven aircraft to jets instantaneously, especially after World War II. Less than a year after we won the war with, the Germany and Italy and Japan, what did we do? We started having jets out 6 months later that were 10 times more advanced than what the Germans had. It is weird how our technology just was jumping like that and kept on jumping. And then, from World War II to when we went to the moon, not that many years went by.
Yeah, and, if you think about all that, what you just said, we should be not using fossil fuels. We should be advanced on a different kind of crafts with different kind of power sources. But I think it's such a money maker in that the oil companies just wouldn't let it happen. In conglomerate with the governments around the world, because it just doesn't make sense that we should be out of that. They should be obsolete.
Yeah, well, a couple people, that are running for president, they say within 15 years from now, they want to outlaw, conventional gas engines. and stuff like that, and it'd be all electric. Now, Bigelow Space, is seriously saying they want to take people to Mars within the next 5 years. Isn't it strange?
Yeah.
Isn't it strange that industry is actually moving along so much faster than NASA?
I know it is strange, and I did read something about that. You're right. And they said something like over a certain amount of period they could have, like, I don't know, what was 1 million people up there or something. But I think, like you do, we better just better learn to crawl before you start diving into the pool, dip your toes in, so to speak, and try to make a few practice runs, maybe to the moon, before you just go on a 5-year round trip to the Mars. It's going to be maybe a one-way trip, like you say.
Well, it's going to be a one-way trip, at least for some people. We already know that. Again, I mean, it's scary that we're talking about going to Mars, but we don't go back to the moon. That also, I think it's really strange, like Bigelow and some of these other companies out there are producing this type of craft, the capsule, the rocket, and all this stuff. It's reusable. Not disposable. That's, like a one-time only. That's going on, but then, and they're doing it for a fraction of a budget than what NASA had. What's up with that?
Yeah, that raised questions like who was making some real money off of that? Because, they're reusing it for less the price. So that tells you that there was some shadiness going on, possibly.
Well, put it this way, government big waste of money, but why isn't NASA seem to be, advancing as fast as, like Bigelow and some of these other companies? I would think NASA at this point, would have a rocket that would be able to take off and land, the engine part, the booster part, and return. They would be working on a new generation of a space capsule and all this stuff, and we would be doing something, but we're not. But they come back and say, well, it's because our budget's been slashed. But Bigelow doesn't have a fraction of the budget what NASA has.
That's true. And the thing with NASA, they can make that money back with advertising and merchandising, and with all that kind of stuff. They can make that money back easily. Because, listen, all the kids would be into that, and even adults. Seriously, think about all the advertising and the merchandising. They could get back the money that it would have cost to put that together, and for the cost of it. So I don't buy that excuse.
Now, you know what? I don't want to see us go to Mars. I don't want to see us go to the moon. I want us to go to Venus, because I watched this movie. It was made in 1956. The women that run and rule Venus are beautiful warriors. Beautiful. And there's no men on Venus you have to compete with. I mean, I watched the whole movie, so it has to be as true as, some of the stuff we hear on our show.
I knew you was going to talk about that movie. I've seen that movie, too. You may be on to something there. But, again, they don't want to spend the money, or maybe we haven't even been there. We don't have the technology. That's another thing. And that says we've lost the technology to go to the moon. How's that possible?
Well, we donated our last booster, to some university here a couple months ago. You know that. But then again, Bigelow has their own. They've been building them like mad and testing them and doing stuff that NASA has never been able to do. Again, with a fraction of the budget. So tell me what is going on. I'm going to write a letter to Bigelow and say, don't go to Mars. You want to send a bunch of men to Venus, and they'll pay you to go to Venus because they want to get married.
They can use that movie as a training course for the seminar of recruitment.
Yeah. Well, it proves a point. The women in Venus in that movie, they had hair dye and bleach. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. I did see that movie. There was another one, too. It had, I think, Jar Jar Gabor in it and Leslie Nielsen. It was similar to that.
Oh, you sure it wasn't Eva Gabor? It's a toss-up. I get the two of them mixed up a lot.
Me too.
I don't know.
One of them.
Again today, Kurt Douglas passed away at 103. He had a good run. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I'll say 103. He was like one of the last of the old Hollywood that was around from the 40s, even. So that's saying something.
Oh yeah. Again, I'm gonna have to watch Spartacus here this weekend. I really enjoyed that movie. And like I was telling you before we went on air, I can't think of the name of the movie, but where a guy gets trapped in a mine in a cave, and Kurt Douglas, is a reporter, and he thinks, oh, I can sell this story on the wire and make all this money, and he really didn't care about the guy at the start, till he went in there, and then the doctors are saying, hey, this guy's not going to make it, and then he's. Then his whole attitude changes. He didn't care about if he's going to make money or not. He wanted everything he could do to get this guy to keep living and get him out of there. That really was a movie that you really got into. I mean, he was a great actor, from being a gangster to being being a general in a war film to being a cowboy.
Yeah, and the movie you talking about was a good movie because what had happened, like you say, he didn't care, he wanted to make a buck, but the guy trapped his friends and family in the little town out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. They all gave up on him, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, here I am, I don't even know him, but he turned his ways. He was the only one who didn't give up on him, and I think he saved him.
Yeah, I can't remember the end of it. I really can't, but, he was there while everybody else said, hey, it's nothing we can do. But he's going to be deeply missed just because he was an idol to some. Of course, a lot of the people that went to the movies, when he was making these movies, have already passed on. 103. You have to be honest. That's a long time.
It is a long time. I've seen most of his movies since I was just a little movie watcher. Yeah, he's going to be missed for sure, and he's definitely an icon. Let's say that.
Yeah, I think that William Shatner is like 84, something like that. And, and the thing is, he still rides a motorcycle. He rides a horse several times a week. He does, a talk show. He just done a movie. Before this last movie, he did another movie about, alien invasions. The guy, for his age, is doing stuff, God bless him. I mean, how many people in their mid-80s could be still running around and riding a horse and doing all this stuff while a lot of people have already, passed on or they're in a nursing home?
Yeah, I got news for you. That guy's 88. He's going to be 89 on March 22nd, so he's even older than we thought.
Oh, wow. So just think about that. And he's still riding. He was actually doing a commercial for a bike company, electric bike company, and he was riding the bikes and pedaling the bike. And I met him a couple years ago when he was doing, him and his wife and a big film crew for this motorcycle company. He was doing from Spokane all the way to Las Vegas, on a three-wheeler. And the guy, I tell you, I don't know how he does it, but his genes are perfect. And of course, like Mark Cushman said, that William Shatner has this attitude. I'll die when I quit working. So he makes a point of continually working. And he's as sharp in his head as he was when he was 20 years old. Anyway, till tomorrow, when we come back on and talk about, dinosaurs, Mothman, and monsters, Joe Taylor, I just want to tell everybody, thank you for tuning in. And give me your view. Do you believe the Earth is round? Do you believe we're living in a flat world or on a flat world? Well, you can contact me at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. That's nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. Do you know your Gmail account where you can tell people if they have a news story how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, it's at James at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
Okay, everybody, till tomorrow, you have a good one, and we'll catch you later.
Bye-bye.